Get ready to dive into the darkest corners of true crime. If you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button, because once this story starts, there's absolutely no turning back. The rain had already washed half the blood away by the time the police arrived. It was 2:17 in the morning, under the concrete spine of Sao Paulo's Minhocao overpass, when a jogger spotted something that didn't belong. A body was wedged between rusted guardrails and trash-strewn pavement, positioned almost carefully, as if someone wanted it to be found, but not too quickly. The flashing red and blue lights bounced off the wet asphalt, turning the underpass into a flickering nightmare. The victim was identified within the hour. Lucas Andrade, 34 years old, a financial analyst. Married, no criminal record, no known enemies. At least, none that were obvious. Detective Mariana Costa stood near the edge of the cordon tape, arms folded, her eyes locked on the scene. She'd been working homicides for 12 years, long enough to know when a case felt wrong right from the start. And this one did. Lucas's wallet was still in his pocket. His phone lay intact just a few feet away. There were no signs of a robbery and no signs of a random attack. This wasn't chaos, she said quietly to her partner. This was controlled. Beside her, Inspector Rafael Nunez nodded, his face tight. And whoever did it knew this area. There are no cameras under the overpass. No witnesses at this hour. Lucas's body had been staged facing the road, almost like it was a message. His watch had been taken off, but not stolen. It was found placed right beside him, stopped at exactly 11:42 p.m. The time of death. The first major twist came before dawn. When officers went to notify Lucas's wife, Ana Andrade, they found the apartment door unlocked. Inside, the place was spotless, almost too spotless. There were no signs of a struggle, no forced entry, just an eerie silence, and a half-packed suitcase sitting on the bed. Ana was gone. By sunrise, Lucas Andrade wasn't just a murder victim anymore. He was the center of a disappearance that instantly gripped the entire city. Detective Mariana reviewed the initial reports as Sao Paulo woke up. Lucas had left his office at 10:30 p.m., telling his colleagues he had a late meeting. But no meeting was ever scheduled. His car was later found abandoned 3 kilometers from the overpass, parked neatly between 2 other vehicles, with the keys missing. Anna's phone went straight to voicemail. Her passport was missing. Her laptop was gone. To run, Rafael said, leaning against his desk, or to hide. But Mariana wasn't convinced it was that simple. They started digging into Lucas's life. On paper, it was squeaky clean. He worked for a respected investment firm, specializing in corporate restructuring. He was quiet, reliable, private. His coworkers described him as the guy who never talked about himself. That small detail stuck with Mariana. But his financial records told a very different story. Hidden among all the routine transactions were irregular transfers, small amounts, spread across multiple offshore accounts. It was too subtle for an amateur and too careful to be a mistake. Lucas hadn't just been analyzing money. He had been moving it. As the investigation deepened, another name surfaced, Victor Leal, a powerful businessman with deep political connections, known in elite circles and whispered about in darker ones. It turned out Lucas had worked directly on Victor's accounts during a sensitive merger just 6 months earlier. When the police questioned him, Victor's lawyer responded within minutes. "My client has no involvement and will not be making a statement." That silence spoke volumes. Meanwhile, pressure from the media was mounting as they latched onto Anna's disappearance. Headlines screamed about a runaway wife. Commentators on TV and online detectives on social media all speculated and pointed fingers. But Mariana kept her focus on one overlooked detail, Lucas's watch. A stopped watch is common in a violent death, but this one hadn't shattered. It hadn't broken on impact. Someone had manually stopped it. Someone who wanted that exact time to be remembered. 11:42 p.m. Mariana pulled the phone tower records. At 11:41 p.m., Lucas's phone had pinged near the overpass. At 11:43 p.m., it was turned off. The precision was chilling. It was deliberate. Then, they got a breakthrough. A junior analyst from Lucas's firm forwarded an anonymous email to the police. It had been sent from Lucas's private account 2 days before his death, scheduled to be delivered only if he failed to log in again. The subject line was simple: "If something happens to me." Inside was a single sentence and a file attachment. The message read, "The money isn't the crime. The silence is." The attachment was encrypted, Cybercrime specialists worked through the night, and at 4:06 in the morning, the file finally opened. It wasn't financial data. It was surveillance photos. Blurry images taken from across streets, inside parking garages, through tinted glass. It was Lucas meeting men he shouldn't have been meeting. Handshakes. Arguments. And then, one photo showed Anna in the background, watching from across a cafe, her face tense, her eyes locked on her husband. Anna hadn't been unaware of what was happening. She had been involved. As Mariana studied the final image, her phone rang. A patrol unit had found something just outside the city limits, a storage facility, rented under a false name, paid for in cash. Inside Unit 317, they discovered a locked metal cabinet. When they forced it open, the air seemed to leave the room. Because inside wasn't money. It was a burner phone, a foreign passport with Anna's photo under a different name, and a handwritten note taped to the door. It read, "You're looking in the wrong place." And suddenly, the question wasn't just who killed Lucas Andrade. It was what had Lucas and Anna uncovered, and who was willing to kill to keep it buried. As dawn broke over Sao Paulo, the case had stopped being about a dead man under an overpass. It was about a system unraveling. Detective Mariana Costa stood inside a storage unit, staring at a foreign passport. It had Anna Andrade's face, but a different name. The photo was recent, carefully staged. This wasn't the work of someone panicking. It was the work of someone preparing. She didn't run, Mariana said aloud. She vanished on purpose. They found a burner phone, still powered off, but its memory told a story. One unsent message sat in the drafts folder, typed and erased dozens of times. Only a fragment remained. "They know you know." That message was never meant for Lucas. It was for someone else. The clock was ticking. Within hours, word of an encrypted email leaked to the press. Suddenly, Lucas Andrade wasn't just a victim. He was a potential whistleblower. The investment firm he worked for released a carefully worded statement, distancing itself. Victor Leal's legal team went silent. And then, the evidence began to disappear. The offshore accounts Lucas had flagged were wiped clean overnight. The shell companies dissolved. Paper trails evaporated into thin air. Someone with serious reach was scrubbing the past in real time. Then came the first warning. Inspector Rafael Nunez was driving home when a motorcycle pulled alongside his car at a red light. The rider lifted his visor just long enough for Rafael to see his eyes. Calm, focused. He tossed something through the open window. The light turned green. The motorcycle vanished. Inside the car, Rafael found a folded photo. It showed Lucas's body under the overpass, taken before the police even arrived. On the back, a message in thick black ink: "Stop digging." From that moment on, the investigation went personal. Mariana moved her team off official channels, relying on trusted contacts and handwritten notes. They traced the fake passport to a document forger near the port of Santos. The man was nervous, shaking as he spoke. She didn't want to escape, he insisted. She wanted to be untraceable. She said if they found her, she'd already be dead. Anna had paid in cash. She'd asked for routes, not destinations. She wasn't looking for a new life. She was buying time. Time to finish something. The breakthrough came from an unexpected place. Lucas's sister, Renata, requested a private meeting. She brought a flash drive Lucas had mailed her weeks before his death, with strict instructions: give it to the police only if he stopped answering her calls. On it was a video. Lucas sat alone in a dim room, his face pale, his voice steady but strained. "If you're watching this," he said, "then I didn't get out. The money Victor Leal moves isn't just illegal, it's blood money. Construction contracts, prison supply deals, private security firms, entire neighborhoods erased for profit." He paused, swallowing hard. "Anna figured it out before I did. She wanted to go to the authorities. I wanted evidence. That delay may have killed me." The video ended with a set of coordinates. They led to a warehouse outside Campinas. When police raided the site, they found hard drives stacked like bricks, years of transaction records, hidden ownership charts, and internal communications. It was a complete map of Victor Leal's criminal empire, tying him to organized crime, bribery, and multiple unexplained deaths disguised as accidents. It was enough to bring down a titan. Victor Leal was arrested 48 hours later. His confident silence finally broke as news cameras captured his handcuffed walk into federal custody. Headlines exploded. The markets shook. Politicians who once stood by him distanced themselves overnight. The public believed the story was over. But it wasn't. 3 days after the arrest, Mariana received a call from an emergency room nurse in Porto Alegre. A woman had been admitted under a false name after collapsing from exhaustion. Dehydrated, malnourished, but alive. It was Ana Andrade. Mariana flew south immediately. In the hospital room, Ana looked smaller than she had in the photos, but her eyes were sharp, burning with a mix of grief and resolve. "I tried to save him," Ana said softly. They realized Lucas wasn't just moving money. He was documenting it. "When I told him they were watching us, he said we needed proof." Her voice broke. "I ran because if I stayed, everything he died for would disappear." Ana confirmed what Mariana had suspected all along. Lucas hadn't been killed just to silence him. He'd been killed to scare everyone else. Months later, Victor Leal was convicted and sentenced to decades in prison. The case was hailed as a victory for justice, a rare moment when corruption lost. But on a quiet evening, long after the headlines faded, Mariana sat alone, reviewing the case file one last time. One small detail still bothered her. Lucas's watch. A forensic re-examination had revealed faint fingerprints that didn't belong to Victor or any of his known associates. They belonged to a private security contractor, a man who was questioned once, then released and forgotten. Mariana closed the file slowly. Justice, she knew, had been served, but not completely. Because systems like this don't just collapse overnight. They adapt. And somewhere out there, someone had learned that killing the messenger wasn't enough. You had to control the story. If this case kept you on the edge of your seat, remember, there are more truths buried in the shadows. Subscribe now, because the next story might be closer than you think.